The next feature we're going to talk about is the field control tool. It's a lot like the field tool we demonstrated earlier, but with additional features. So let's go into layout mode and show you where that is. Here's the field control tool versus the field tool, which you drag on. And you remember, when you drag it on, it comes out in a certain size. When you use the field control tool, you click on it and you get crosshairs because you can draw a field of any size you want, not just one line or this short. You can draw it any length you want or any height you want. When you let go, it does the same thing. It says what field do you want, and you choose it. So what we're going to do is add a notes field. We'll double click on our tab control anywhere on here. When you double click on it, you can get back into the settings and type in notes. We'll hit create and then click OK, and here's our notes tab. So we can get our field control tool, click on it, and draw something that fills up the whole thing here. And I try to make it so it's even on all sides, the same space away from everything, so it's even here versus over here. And sometimes you go back and resize it afterwards, but I look like I did a pretty good job. It looks pretty nice. And now the first thing you're probably thinking is, we can't choose a notes field because we don't have one. So we could cancel this and go into the File menu and choose Manage Database, or you can get to Manage Database through this dialog. So anytime you can make things quicker and know where all the features are and all the ways to get into areas you want to, you can be much more efficient. I like this better. So now we're going to type in notes, hit create, verify it's a text field, and click OK. And now when you click into this area, we can use type ahead to find that field quickly. Just type in NOT and it goes right down to that field. And we could use a label here if we wanted to, but there's only one field in the Notes tab, so it doesn't really even need to take up valuable space on your layout. So we won't create that label. We'll just click OK. And now we can go into Browse mode and see what it looks like. We'll go into Notes, and we'll start typing in here. I'm just going to type random characters because I want to fill up all of this Notes area so you can get an idea of what other features we might need to add to this. So we've got some random text. I'll copy it, hit a couple returns, and then we'll keep pasting. Now I want to paste till we fill it all the way up, and you notice as we paste, what happens is it enlarges the field. If you click out of it, you can't see all the data. When you click into it, then you can see the rest of the data. And you may like the way this works. I personally don't. In some situations I use it, but usually in this scenario I want it to all be contained within this tabbed area. So I'm going to put a scroll bar on it. So we'll go back into layout mode, click on our Notes tab, click on the field, and then show the inspector. So right under the Data tab, you'll see Include Vertical Scroll Bar, and you can verify you're on the right field by the anchors here, as well as by what it says right here. So let's click that, and there we go. We'll close that, and you notice that it's got a blue scroll bar. And in fact, if you go into Browse mode and take a look at it, the scroll bar doesn't show up until we actually click into it. So we're going to do two things. We want to make sure that scroll bar is there so it's obvious, not just when you click into it. So we'll go into layout mode, and we'll go to Notes, and we're going to click on that field, and if we change it from 3 point to 1 point, notice that it doesn't have 3 point here, but we can change it anyhow. You'll get this error message that says line attributes can only be applied to fields that have borders. Okay, well, let's see what happens. Nothing really happens because it doesn't affect it because we don't have borders on this field. The same is true for the color. If we change it to black, it says they can only be applied to fields that have borders. Even though it changes here, it really hasn't changed the way that the borders work. And so you really won't even see that border, those changes you've made in Browse mode, because if we go back to Browse mode, it still looks the same. So we'll go back into layout mode, and we're going to show the inspector this time. And we're going to go to Notes and click on it. And what we want to do is put some borders. It's under the Appearance tab. And you'll see that your borders are here. We can put one on the right side. And what happens is that's enough to make it work. We can put borders on all sides, but let's see what it looks like with only a border on the right side. So go in there, look at Notes, and now you can see that scroll bar. It's obvious that you can scroll now. But let's go ahead and make it look a little bit better. I don't think it looks good with a border here and not around the whole thing. So we're going to go into layout mode, and we'll go ahead and click on our Notes field and put borders on the top, bottom, and left. In fact, you could just easily click on this and do all of them at once. So we'll go into browse mode and see what that looks like. That's much better. It gives you a border for this field. It just makes it clear where everything is. It seemed like the gray and the white just didn't really mix that well, and it didn't make it obvious that this is a field. I think this border really makes it feel like a field, and like there's borders on it and there's limitations to it, and so I like that a lot. In fact, I think we should apply it to all our fields. So we'll go into layout mode, select all of our billing fields. We'll go ahead and click that, select all our shipping fields, and click that, and now we're ready to go. We'll see what it looks like. So now we have a much more obvious field area. The white and the black outline tell you that this is like a box that you can click into. It just seems to be clearer to me. It's up to you how you do things. It's all personal preference on what your interface looks like. But I'm just giving you some ideas here. So we're going to also show you some other features of the field control, and it's right here. If we click on it and hold down instead, you'll see that it's on edit box, but we can change the drop down list, pop-up menu, checkbox, radio button, drop down calendar, and so on. So what we're going to do is choose checkbox set so you can see what happens. If I draw a field, and I'm just going to choose the notes field again, you'll see that it says the value list is missing. That's because you really can't assign a value list through this field control tool. You have to go to the inspector to do that. So we're going to show you how to do this. I don't really find that this feature, this pop-up menu, is very useful. I usually leave it on edit box because I'd have to go ahead and go into the inspector anyhow, so why not do everything from the inspector, as we'll see in the next section. So I'm going to get rid of this. And so what you should have now is a pretty good looking interface where it's obvious where to type, where things begin and end. Your shipping looks good, your notes look good, and we're ready to go with the field control. Now we're going to go ahead in the next section and talk about our value lists and pop-up menus, which are really quite interesting to work with.